Fellowship family, to this week's episode of the Deeper Podcast. We have a surprise guest today. He was invited onto the podcast 12 minutes ago and said, yes, thank you, Joe, for being here.
Blessed are the flexible, for they shall not be broken.
Absolutely.
Look at that picture of being available in your world.
Hey,
Yes.
living the strategic vision that
right.
he came up with.
And I would say that only because Brian is preaching this weekend have I had the flexibility to do that.
Well, we do have our normal host and co-host here, Douglas Russell, Brian Paul. And as we all know, Joe's middle name
Is Paul.
Hezekiah,
Yes.
but is the same. Which
JP.
is
That's
really
what we
weird.
call him.
JP.
Every day.
Everybody else should call him that too, because
Never
that's
said that once.
totally our nickname.
Never said that once.
Okay, so we're going to just jump right into our quick question of the day.
QQOTD.
This is a shout out to Andrew Crandall, who does not listen to the podcast, but who asked me last night at Pickup Basketball if you could have a dunk over somebody recorded and you could have that for all time, but in order to do it, you would have to strain your Achilles and be out 4 to 6 months. Would you choose to have that, do that dunk and be able to show it to whoever you want or post it online forever? Or would you rather save the 4 to 6 months of healing your Achilles? Thoughts?
100% I would do the dunk.
You were making the like, I can't believe this is a question face at me, and I had no
Yeah.
idea which way you were going to go.
Yeah, because I have wanted to dunk a basketball with a regulation basketball and a 10-foot goal my entire life, and white men can't jump. So if I could jump for that, and that would.
So who would it be? Who would you jump over? Who would that be? That
like
person?
you also get to choose.
Yeah.
Wimby.
Yeah,
I mean, no
but you
chance.
think about like in my teens or my teens 20s, it would have been Shaq, like being able to dunk over
would
Shaq.
be
Or
awesome.
if you're older, it was like Wilt or Bill Russell. It's probably Wemby today.
Okay.
That'd
Okay.
be the most.
Well, yeah. What would you do, Joe?
Yeah, I would save the Achilles
Yeah.
and walk away from the viral video.
No, I mean, I'm guessing you would not share in Brian's dream. You haven't had a dream since you were a kid.
Oh,
of
I've had
dunking
dreams. I've
dunking
had
a
dreams
basketball.
to play better than Michael Jordan. It just is not reality.
Just never got
Yeah.
close. Okay.
So,
I actually, just guessing ahead of time, would have switched that. I would have thought because you run and jog and do all these activities that recovering 4 to 6 months would be like torture and you'd hate it. And that Joe, do you run right now? Or
I
you
swim.
run? You swim. Can you swim with a torn Achilles? Sounds painful.
You can dangle.
I thought about it long and hard and decided I would also do the dunk last night just because it's been a dream of mine for forever. But
and who would be that person you dunk over?
man, I hadn't thought of it. Probably Brian. If I was just thinking about somebody
That's
that I'd want to
Brian
like show
Trias.
domination over, it'd be Brian Trias. Yeah. I'm picturing him like down at my ankles, like just staring up at me in awe as I'm towering over him. What do you think?
But if that was true, you would be dunking on like a 12-foot goal.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. You're 6 foot tall. Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you for entering into that. Really appreciate that.
Sure.
Thank you,
Brian,
Andrew.
Yeah, thank you, Andrew Crandall. Double shout out. Brian is preaching this weekend, and we are in week 23
Episode 23.
of The Greatest Story. This would be like season 2 per se if you're
It
going to
would
break
be.
this into
It would
Netflix length. And we are picking up. We did Elijah and the prophets of Baal last week, Mount Carmel. And we are picking up kind of at the transition stage from Elijah to Elisha. So Brian has, we did run through this morning. Brian has a lot of kind of smaller points, 7 of them to be exact as of now.
It's my usual.
No, it's not your usual. It was so opposite you.
Yes, if I were to have 6, he'd say they need to be 3.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
So true.
true.
So true. But the overarching idea of it is we've called it something like leadership development in the past, mentorship, discipleship. Basically, have somebody that you're pouring into, but then also have somebody that's pouring into you that you're following. And your sermon, obviously, these people have heard it at this point, is greatly structured around your story with Rodney, and such a beautiful story. You tell it so well. And so we're just going to spend a little bit of time here, the 3 of us, because we met together on Monday, just a little behind the scenes for the people who are listening, and talked about one future aspect of discipleship here at Fellowship being what we might end up calling, we don't have a term yet, life on life discipleship pathway stuff. But we sat around and talked about the most meaningful ways that we were discipled or how we saw that happen. So I just want to open it up for us to kind of share about that. For our experiences, what did it look like for you to be discipled by somebody, and get specific about that for people who maybe have never had that experience before? Why don't you go, Joe?
Yeah, for me, it was Tom Frankie. I was about 12, 13 years of age, and I was awkward. I grew 6 inches in one summer.
That young? 12 to 13?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
So I went from first string to left out of basketball. 6 inches is a lot for coordination on a basketball.
Yeah.
And the family joke was, if there's a pillar in the middle of a very large room, I would run into it. So you know how you feel about you're doubting, you're questioning yourself.
Yeah.
There's so much when you're humbled by that in basketball. And unlike David Hinkle, I could do a left-hand layup.
Wow.
Sorry,
that
sir, didn't even.
Somebody send it to him.
Okay, so Tom, I went to a summer camp, and Tom was my counselor, but he had been a family friend growing up. And I remember Tom took me out one day and said, Joe, I'm going to be back in Milwaukee, and I'd love to build into you. Huh. And here's what I see in you. And here's how I see the other guys looking at you when you talk. And so he was the first one who called out leadership in me, and really outside of my family called me to live in that. And over the course of the years, all the way up through high school graduation, he was the guy who spoke into my life and called me to be who he said God had wired me to be. So that was good.
Did he have a role at the church that you were at?
He didn't. He was just a volunteer.
Yeah.
He was a volunteer in the student ministry there.
And tell me, do you remember, I'm sure you remember something, what was the stuff that he picked out and said, I see this in you as a 12 to 13-year-old?
Yeah, he said, I am going to see God do something with your life. I don't know what it is, but it's going to be remarkable.
Wow.
And I was kind of like, I don't know what God's, I don't feel that special right now.
Yeah.
And he also said, you really have good communication skills with your friends. So
that's kind of impressive as a 12 to 13-year-old. As somebody who has a 12-year-old at home and a 10-year-old at home, I'm just picturing, wow.
Yes, you can see things in them.
But what did it look like for him? Well, you said kind of longevity of it. He stuck with you for at least, 5, 6 years.
One of those summers, though, he asked me to be a junior counselor under him.
Nice. Okay.
And everything he did, I mean, from the hilarious things of putting toothpaste on people's lips and taking pictures of them while they're sleeping. Okay.
Did that hurt at all? Was that like,
it was
just
classic. I
silly?
had before and after pictures of it.
Okay.
But it was, but again, we had fun together, but then we also did devotionals together, and he taught me how to do a devotional with a cabin.
Oh,
and
cool.
So
that's awesome. How to lead a devotional.
That's right.
Great. Now, you said he was a junior. I mean, was this your church camp, or was this like
a camp?
No,
it was a camp he went to.
Oh, yeah.
It was called Silver Birch Ranch in northern Wisconsin.
Big shout out to Silver
Yes,
Birch.
Silver Birch Ranch. Yeah.
Okay. And then during the year,
During the
what'd that look
year,
like?
he would, I would be in our youth group, and he would connect with me there.
Okay.
So
Cool. Yeah. Way to go, Tom.
Yeah.
Dude, I don't know how I would have felt if as a 12 or 13-year-old somebody was like, I see God is going to do huge things in your life. It would have been a mixture of fear of, wow, I don't know what that means, but also this incredible potential. Wow, somebody sees this in me that I don't see in myself at all.
Yeah.
Would have been a mixed bag. Were you excited about it all the way, or were you like nervous about it?
Well, I was nervous about it. I didn't want to go into the ministry.
Yeah.
I wanted to make money,
to make some money,
and then sell the company, and then Jesus could have me.
Yeah. If you give me 4 jet skis first, and then you can have the rest of my life, Jesus. Yeah.
Yes. I don't know if the jet skis weren't invented in that time. However, it at least was a house and money to live on, so that I could live the life I wanted to live, and then Jesus could have me. You know, when I'm fully self-dependent.
Yeah. And then your story that you've told, you went to school, obviously, and even at that point, it wasn't for sure ministry.
That's right.
When you left.
That's
but
right.
when you kind of like reached the emptiness in your class and realizing like, I don't want my life to be about this.
That's right.
Tom's influence was like already in your life.
So then another guy came in, and that was a new pastor at my church, Chip Bernhardt. And Chip just finished last year 40 years of being a pastor there.
Wow.
And so
40.
he actually had me come and preach one of his last weekends, and it was really special.
That's awesome.
But he met with me every Tuesday morning, and we'd either go through a book like The Pursuit of Holiness, or we go through a book of the Bible. And he would just share that, and then we'd pause, and he goes, "Now, what do you got?" And it would be any questions I would have for him, what's happening in my life, which girl dumped me last week, all those kinds of, from all those things we could talk about. And he was just a guy who he would always say, when I questioned myself, "You're going to be okay. You're going to be okay."
Nice. That's awesome.
So,
Was it just you two in that?
yeah.
Wow, that is awesome to have that kind of time with somebody, just one-on-one.
That's right.
That's a big old gift.
Yeah, it was.
Brian, I know you were
Yeah.
Brian's looking up some verses. Sorry.
No, you're good.
I know you're going to talk about Rodney, but I know also you've got some other people in your life who have either discipled you or you've discipled. Why don't you share what that's look like?
Yeah. So Rodney is a huge person in my life. I would say there's one person before and one person after who had similar roles at different stages. When I was in high school and didn't quite know what it looked like to be like a personal disciple or a personal follower of Jesus, because the student ministry I was going to was very intellectual, very heady, lots of teaching on philosophy and Nietzsche and like a bunch of stuff.
Okay.
But I didn't have a heart for like what it looked like to just be a Christ follower. I ended up meeting a guy named Rick, and I wanted to be just like Rick. And so I would say I'm in ministry because of him.
Was he was a volunteer leader?
He was the student pastor.
Oh,
and
okay.
It was a different church. So I switched churches, and this guy just built into, it's okay. It happens from time to time. And this guy built into me, spent time with me. And then when he ended up moving, he would bring me down, and I would do ministry in his church in Arkansas. And I would do Disciple Now weekends and things. And he just, I probably idolized him a little bit. The way I say it is I didn't want to be a student pastor. I wanted to be Rick, and had to have that one
kind of like worked out of you eventually.
worked out.
Yeah.
But he's just someone who saw something in me. We connected, and it was more than just content. To be honest, I don't remember anything he taught me as far as content.
Yeah.
But his time. He constantly was encouraging me, constantly was building into me. And on the other end, I would say there's this guy named Joe who just so happens to be on our podcast today.
Wow. Providential.
And so
I'm so honored you said that, Brian.
Joe talks about like meeting with Chip every Tuesday. I mean, sometimes it was Mondays and sometimes it was Tuesdays, but every Monday or Tuesday for 15 years or something.
Wow.
Like we were in the same room. We started at Panera and ended up at Perkins and ended up at Cracker Barrel and then ended up in your office.
And we sold the red hat ladies table, and they got so mad at Cracker Barrel,
And
so we quit.
One of the things Joe's great at is like he'll just come up with a grid for this season, right? And so it's like, okay, for this season we're going to do the H's. What are you what's healthy? What habits? How are your habits? What are your hang-ups? And what are your
Where's your heart?
Where's your heart?
Yeah.
Wow.
And we do
Remember
that.
it still.
We do that season. Or one was like 1 Timothy 4:12. Be an example in speech and conduct and love and purity and faith. And so we're going to do that for 5 weeks. Hey, let's talk about faith this week. What does faith look like? And it's just an open invitation to share heart. And we did that for years. I mean, years. We've talked through everything. And, at some point, Joe and I did some of that life coaching type stuff. And, I am able to look at him and go, Joe, you have complete access. Like, you can ask me any question you want. And, like, I feel like you have freedom to do that.
Yeah.
And he graciously has opened up his life that I can ask him questions. And, yeah, so, like, it's just that. I would say it's time. Time, intentionality, caring. Joe is, obviously sitting through so many sermons with Joe, he's taught me tons, but when I think of Joe, I don't think about the content as much as the time, the friendship, the consistency. Although I will say the one thing, if you were asking me, what's the thing I got from Joe more than anything else?
Yeah.
I'm curious.
I know, me too.
Oh, you've already heard me say this.
Okay.
I am first a child of God. Then I am a husband to my wife. I'm a father to my children. And then being a minister in the church is after that in terms of priority. It's like never going to leave.
That's awesome.
Always here.
Okay. I like you kind of just started breaking it down for us, but some of the things I think we would all agree the content time ends up being the least important, maybe influential when it comes to these long-term discipleship mentoring relationships. So you said time, intentionality, caring, consistency, all these words. And then I think Joe, I mean, you both talked about it, but these people call us in to actually do it. They trust us with stuff. They call us into more. They give us the opportunity to do that. And that level of trust is really a big part of growth, I think. Are there any other consistent aspects of a discipleship relationship like this that you would add to time, intentionality,
I
caring?
think there's one. I mean, presence and attention. Especially today. I mean, you're looking at a screen when you're not with someone, and sometimes when you're with someone, you're looking at a screen. And so I think it's something countercultural that you can really restore in relationship. And a lot of young people don't have any of this type of face-to-face communication. Think about typical teacher is 1 to 20. Or whatever the number of the class is, it's one-way communication. It's not asking questions. It's not curiosity. When someone's curious about you, that's one of the greatest compliments they can give you. They want to know more about you. Because we all want to be known and understood in some dynamics, some more than others. But it's how friendships grow and deepen. I think there's the other thing of the interpretation of life, okay? So like when you're raising kids and you're thinking, oh, I have the worst kids, or I'm doing the worst job, someone needs to give you a perspective and go, wait a minute, I've been there, you're not, they're still living, whatever those things are. Those are really good. And then failure, when you fail in some way, which I did with Chip Bernhardt, he let me preach on a Wednesday night and I just stunk it up. I mean, I was sweating so much. The sweat was rolling down from my chin on the Bible I was preaching from. I had a pool of sweat. And I said, I'll never preach again. And he said, no, who do you want to talk to? Who do you talk to that you don't sweat? And I said, high schoolers. And he said, then serve in high school ministry. And you know what I did? And I did that for several years. And those high schoolers grew into adults. And I mean,
and it got
it's
easy
like
all
in
of a
fellowship.
sudden.
Our average age is 28. I'm still teaching to people younger than me for the most part. But that's how I learned. He was able to interpret that failure and not give up on me, but give me hope.
Yeah.
And I think that's important. Leadership development is a subset of discipleship, and the ability to develop someone to do something else. Like Chip gave Joe an opportunity to do something, provided feedback, provided coaching. You look at Jesus when he sends out the 12 and sends out the 70, he sends them out. He's given them some training and some equipping and sends them out. And then they come back and they just process it. What did you learn? What did you experience? And we've talked about I do, you watch, we talk and that process. And I just think that is so huge of being able to observe things, dipping your feet getting to dip your foot in or toe in the water and try something out, get that encouragement, get that correction, get that feedback, and then be given a little bit more to the point where now someone doesn't need to be there and to allow that to do that.
Yeah, I think the emphasis of the American church for the most part has been content in discipleship, and you do need the truth. And you must have 100%. Content and knowledge because you can't grow in what you don't know, right? But you don't just need the truth. You need experience in the truth. And many ways, when that person is living it on another level than what you are, you need to see that. So like when Paul says in Philippians 4, what you have learned and received and then heard and seen in me. Think about all that. Yeah. That's life. That's going through and seeing another perspective and another life.
Yeah. And we talk about the Brian is maybe going to figure out this quote before the weekend, but I was listening to a podcast with Francis Chan, Jenny Allen this week, talking about discipleship and the reality of content versus kind of context. And they said that discipleship happens way more in the living room, right, than anywhere else. And when you're sitting on somebody's couch, Brian's quote might end up being when you know where the forks are in the kitchen, like which drawer the forks are in the kitchen. That's when you know, like, you're in a relationship that involves discipleship or whatever. You know that person.
I would say refrigerator rights. When you can go into my refrigerator and I don't feel I'm being robbed, then you're being discipled.
But I think that's the difference between somebody I would consider to be like one of my teachers or a small group leader in my life, and then somebody who's discipled me, is when I've crossed the threshold of their home and been able to watch them. For me, it was Mark Lehner. It's my high school pastor who just invited us into his life. So we were over there. He had young kids at the time. And so we got to watch him parent and discipline. And then obviously as a husband and then as a workhorse, the guy was obviously he not only did stuff at church, but he was building a deck or doing all kinds of crazy stuff. So that was where I learned some handy stuff. But just to be invited over and just be like, yeah, just come over after school and just spend 3 hours over there living life with him taught me way more than, sitting in a small group, because you get to see the truth take on flesh, which is beautiful. But man, it's so important. Okay.
I remember there was a guy I tried to disciple. I was in seminary and I was leading as a youth pastor in seminary, and his name was Kyle. And I said, Kyle, would you be open to really doing some deep Bible studies with me? And Kyle was just one of these gregarious, outgoing kids. He was fun, always laughing, fun to be with. And I made it all about content. And there was a moment halfway through my first Bible lesson with him where he just started laughing. He goes, your face hasn't changed in the last 30 minutes, and you're speaking monotone. It's not you. Okay. And sure enough, I must have just sounded like one of my seminary professors who talked like this, and that's
possible.
Yeah, I don't know who it was. I don't know
Strike
who it
that
was.
from the record.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Okay, so great segue into a different question I had, which is, we've all had fits and starts, or false starts, let's say, with people who we've thought maybe we wanted to disciple or were ready for discipleship, but things haven't worked out. What would you put as common reasons why discipleship doesn't happen in a context like the local church, or between people who it feels like going into it they have the excitement for it?
One way to say it is, like, I can't want something more for someone than they want it for themselves.
Yep.
And just because I feel like I have a lot to offer, if they don't want it, it's a one-way street, and it won't go anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I would say, obviously, discipleship doesn't happen apart from trust. And if, like, when I meet with people, if they want to impress me or don't want to disappoint me, then it's going to change how they answer, and they're not really going to share their true selves. So I call it playing ball. If you'll play ball, I'll be here.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, that's a great point. My super generic, boring answer is, if discipleship happens in the living room more than anywhere else, the busyness of life. When I start to invite people into life and they're just like, yeah, I can't, yeah, sorry. And it's over and over again. Eventually I'm like, okay, if they want it to happen, they'll start reaching out, because clearly this is not working. Well, I mean, kind of goes back to that. I picture, so tell me, when reading the Elisha story, you had those 3 times where Elijah said, wait here, I'm going to go on. And Elisha's response was,
I'm coming with you.
Yeah, he's like, it felt a little bit like the Esther, Ruth, or not Esther, sorry.
Endearing.
Like Naomi, Ruth, or as the Lord lives and as you yourself live, I will not leave you. Yeah. And that felt
Good memory.
Ooh, great memory, as it's written down. Okay. But it felt like, okay, he is passionate about following and being discipled. And like, even if Elijah, whatever heart he had in actually saying that, if we don't know for sure. But Elisha was like, no, I'm not leaving. I'm going to like hold on to you and learn whatever I can from you. When you have a relationship like that, somebody who wants to get discipled that bad, it always happens.
That's right.
I feel like it definitely is it's going to work.
Yeah. Or when Elisha said to Elijah, give me double portion of the spirit, of your spirit.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if that's the Spirit of God. Probably not. But it was of what's in you. I want double of in me, basically.
Yeah. So a beautiful picture in this about kind of passing the mantle on to the next generation. And so, Joe, talk a little bit about what it's looked like for you in your ministerial setting at Fellowship to pour into what you see the next generation. Brian talks a little bit about the unnamed missionary and his. What's it look like for you here?
For me, I try to do, again, as my life, I want a story a week from each one of these principles, okay? I want to worship daily. I want to share life with my family. I want to disciple a few guys. I want to lead the church courageously. And I want to live generously. Those 5 things I want a story each week from. So my disciple a few guys happens on Tuesday at 7:45 here. And I've just kind of focused on the younger guys on staff.
Yeah.
And I've done Life on Life with them. And I will bring in a theme, like Brian said. I used to do this with all the pastors of Fellowship. And then we kind of divided it out on trying to do that with other staff. So I have the younger guys and Tim.
Shout out Tim.
That's
Still
right.
young at heart.
Yes, he is. And we have different questions that I ask. Questions of the heart, questions of ministry, questions of how are they doing with money. We kind of we just kind of go around and the questions, and then there's some days that I'll go, what questions do you have for me? And I'll just share a story along with that. I do keep it, for the most part, based in the scriptures so that I'm not just doing Joe's way, but I'm discipling them in the way of Christ. But a lot of that happens through vulnerability and me sharing my own mistakes or even my own shortcomings right now, the temptations I'm having. And I try to model the vulnerability that I'm asking of them. Yeah. And so that's been going on for a few years now.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. Yeah. Okay. So Brian, are there any of these points that you think we didn't hit? We didn't hit some of the Elisha stuff. So when let's just talk about this part of it and then we'll move on to cutting room floor. But this idea of Elisha being comfortable in the background.
Yeah.
And it kind of lines up, Joe, with David. Oh man, this is a little quiz time for you, Joe. Do you remember the wording of the point that you had that I really loved, but it was about being formed?
Basically in obscurity or, when no one's seeing in private.
Yeah.
Before God uses you in public.
Yep. Okay. So I was picturing that too when you shared this idea of we need to be comfortable being in the background. What did that look like if you haven't talked about it, if this is something we've already covered, just say we've already covered it. But what did it look like for you guys to be formed in obscurity or off the scene before you were allowed a kind of public?
Yeah, for me, it was the church I came here from. I was an associate pastor. I wasn't the lead pastor. And it was a team about 5 or 6 of us. And I wasn't the lead. And the lead was definitely the authority of the church and the leadership of the church. We had 45 elders, and the whole elder meeting was led by parliamentary procedure.
Hey, so like Robert
really not the theme of our elder team, godly brothers dwelling together
My
in
blood
unity.
pressure's going up.
It's exactly how it felt.
Really?
And every day I had to go in with a suit and a tie because it was a downtown church.
Hey, yo.
So I kept a side file
of
what I'm learning in this environment.
Yeah.
And there were some especially relational tensions on the staff. And I thought, what would I do if I were in this, if I were leading from a primary chair in this? And I just wrote down a few things. And here's what happened when I came here. There were some things I go, oh, that's why they did that, because I'm in the context of having so much more. One of the key things they did is they did not compromise on the gospel being the main thing of that church. And with all the other hidden agendas that people might have for a church, they kept the gospel and Jesus at the center of their church. But other ones was how I'll lead and help people develop as they lead, giving feedback and receiving feedback as a primary leader, not being defensive, all that developed within the crucible of me not being in the first chair.
Okay, that's great. Anything that you feel like you haven't said yet?
Yeah, I mean, I always do that. There's a couple of different things that I can talk about. One is, in the years before we had Saturday night services, like, do you remember what year that was?
don't know.
2010 is when we went to
Wow.
Saturday night services. I used to work.
16 years.
I
Yeah,
used to
that's
work a
pretty crazy.
ton of Saturdays, and it was, with
Before the week, so you were just here prepping for Sunday.
because
Okay.
in being in children's ministry, there's lots of little things
Oh,
that
yeah.
has to be done,
Yeah.
and there were countless hours that I was the only person in the building, and no one has any idea, and you're doing all of that stuff that no one knows about, and they just show up to their classroom and they see it done, and
Or they call out things that aren't right.
never happened.
Never happens.
Another story. One time, I'm in the lobby and someone needed help, and they're like, "Brian, hey, this woman needs help." And I was like, "Okay, hey, how can I help you?" And she goes, "I need to talk to a pastor." I was like, "Yeah, great. What can I do?" And she goes, "What do you do?"
Oh man!
And I said, "Oh, I work in the family ministry." She goes, "I need to talk to a real one."
Nuh-uh. That's for real.
100%. Right. And it's just like, you're doing that stuff over there.
Yeah, sure.
And,
sure.
but like, man, that's where character is formed.
Yeah.
Character is formed in all that stuff that you don't see, all that stuff you do. I remember going on one of our mountain trips and knowing that the student minister, it was Larry at the time, didn't do a single thing to prepare for the mountain trip. Not a thing. He just showed up on it, did all the work. And watching parent after parent go up to him and just thank him for all of the effort, all the work. And it's
Well,
like,
he gave meaningful hugs on top of Mount Sherman.
Larry was an awesome guy.
So
awesome
good.
guy. But, it's just going, no, all that stuff, that work ethic, like it pays off. It pays off later.
Yeah.
Like it comes out. So being okay being in the background and not being the one who gets the credit it's
a big part of the process. Your character being formed and nobody else is watching.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, thank you. Anything that, Joe, you want to leave them with as a teaser for what we are hoping to do moving forward with the Life on Life discipleship pathway? That is not the official title, but what I am using right now.
Yeah. So, I mean, number one, the discipleship, Life on Life discipleship, or life to life discipleship, it doesn't happen organically. We kind of think, the beam of sun will hit on someone and you will hear the voice of God saying, be discipled by them. On the same hand, we want it to be natural, but you can't manufacture natural, but you can be intentional. And I would say if you have a resolute intentionality of discipling someone or being discipled, you hang with it, and pretty soon God will provide that person. So I don't think it just happens. I mean, if our whole church came to us and says, link us up with people to disciple us, there is no way we could handle all the chemistry things of that and all the interest deal of that. And so we're, as a church, more committed to having this start out small, but learning and constantly tweaking and then developing leadership, some type of leadership structure around it.
Yeah.
So I've told you I don't like the word mentorship for discipleship.
Yeah.
But of course, there's elements of mentorship in it. I just think ultimately we're called to be formed into the image of Christ for the sake of others. That's Robert Mulholland's phrase on what transformation is. And I think that's what happens through discipleship.
Yeah.
And I would say, especially, you've led this church for 24 years, and a lot of things are going to take shape in a way that's going to look like it's been shaped by you. It's not just what the scriptures say.
Yeah.
It's what the scriptures say about money, what the scriptures say about family, what the scriptures say about health, what the scriptures say about all of these areas, because we can just go through the book of Titus, and the book of Titus is great. It's 3 great chapters. But if you're not figuring out how to apply Titus to your life or how to apply this to your life, what are we talking about? And that's the picture we're going at. It's we want people to know the scriptures better, but we want them to be able to have
To be like Jesus. Yeah.
And that's what I'm most excited about, I think, for this project in the end. That primary focus will be, do our people know how to read the word, pray, like have a relationship with the Lord where they can feed themselves? And out of that, let's talk about everything let's actually have intentional conversations about all these different spheres of life that should touch physical health and financial health and family health. And you've done that so many times throughout the years with so many people. And I think that's a rarer part. I think most people feel like, oh yeah, I could write something where I could teach somebody how to open the Bible. But as far as the application to like really specific stuff in their life, I don't think that there's a lot of that out there. You got some on the other side. Yeah, there you go.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Friends tell friends.
Friends tell friends, especially when they're on camera.
That's right.
Okay, so
So after 40 minutes, then he tells Joe he has something on the side of his face.
It just appeared. Okay, let's do cutting room floor. So again, the Elisha. Oh yeah, cutting room floor. I forgot about the drop. Sorry, Eli is totally going to handle that the best possible way. We only had 3 chapters in Daily Devo, but the Elisha stuff is a lot more than that, right? So again, this is a segment, Joe, for anything from the story, from the text that we're not going to be able to have time to cover in the sermon. And since Brian has spent a lot of time in the text and is preaching, let's have you go first with something interesting that you want to talk about.
Now, are we limiting this to 2, 3, and 4?
No,
which
we're not.
are reading this week, or we're limiting this to?
Yeah.
Okay, so after Elijah's gone.
Okay.
And after the prophets look for him, which is just a weird story.
That is. It's a weird
He's like,
little...
Can we go look for him? No. Can we go look for him? No. Fine. We didn't find him.
I told you.
This thing, these youth, they start taunting Elisha.
That's the problem with the young people these days.
Right? So in my head, I hearken back to David when he's being taunted by Shimei or whatever. And they're like, should we go kill him?
Yeah.
And he's like, no. Maybe God sent him to torment me. And so like you have that response. No. When he gets called bald head.
Yes.
Go on, you bald head.
By the way, the commentators trying to come up with what that means is really funny. But he's like, bears, come down and maul these kids. And 42 youths were mauled by a bear. And it's like...
Let it be known he did not say bears come down and maul the kids.
No.
He just cursed them. And the Lord sent the bears.
Right.
But
But the timeless truth message is do not criticize a bald old guy.
And the commentators are like, well... men of that time would have been wearing hoods, so I don't even know how they would know he was bald. I'm like...
I just think it's one more... Sorry, go ahead.
There's nothing explained. It's just like, this is what happened.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay.
I'm trying to remember other stories. Maybe you guys can come up with them. But there is it feels like a small theme in the Old Testament where you do not mock like God's anointed or God's chosen. And if you mock them, what feels like... over and above a what do you call it when the response is the same as the whatever a response of kind, God punishes you for basically mocking him. You're mocking him, you're mocking me.
One of the commentators, I think, just trying to justify it in his own mind, is like, these had to be young prophets of Baal. They had to be.
Just zero contextual stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
What about you, Joe? What do you got?
Okay. 2 Kings 3.
Yeah.
Where the kings rebel against Israel. So on a very unique thing, the king of Israel joins Jehoshaphat, the king of Judah.
Yeah.
And they go up and they kind of declare battle on Edom and Moab.
Yeah.
And they defeated...
I'm so nervous about what you're going to mention here.
Yeah. But when the king of Moab saw that he was going to lose, he sacrificed his son.
Yeah.
And then Israel was defeated.
And the tide turned.
Yeah, the tide turned.
Okay, what do you do with it?
So, I mean, there's a lot of things I could do with it. I mean, what was that? Was that demonic influence? I mean, only Satan seeks to kill, steal, and destroy. That would be some type of satanic thing to offer your child.
Yeah.
God hated that act specifically. It was a huge abomination to him. But then I think that God could have used that as a rallying cry for everyone to go, look, he gave his son for this. Let's go and rouse up and fight for this. And God would say, no, you got back for their pledge that they did not give you. You got enough. I don't want you to settle here, this to be your land. Go back.
Okay.
So, I mean, there's several ways to look at that.
Yep. My go-to is the demonic stuff.
Yeah.
It feels like because of how nothing else was listed, that's probably it. But the unseen realm stuff, Michael Heiser, and the gods of the nations that
Yep.
Yahweh appointed. That's the stuff that starts running through my head. But we can't get into that. That would take
Yes.
another 2 hours.
I
It
do love this Elisha quote, though. As the Lord of hosts live, before whom I stand, were it not that I have regard for Jehoshaphat, the king of Judah, I would neither look at you nor see you.
That's right.
I want to say it
That's
to
right.
someone one time.
Yeah, because you're his friend.
Because you?
Yes.
No.
No, but because I'm a friend of him.
I thought Bill, I wanted to ask Bill, when in that same story, when they go to ask Elisha what's going to happen, right? Jehoshaphat is like, let's consult the prophet of the Lord. In 3:15, Elisha says, but now bring me a musician. And when the musician played, the hand of the Lord came upon him. And then he gives them the prediction. And it, again, is one more of these like little threads coming from Saul and David and the
harp.
story that the Lord uses music, loves worship, and in some way inhabits the praises of his people. And so when that music starts, he shows up for Elisha, which is just fascinating to me. It's like, I call it magic, but then that diminishes the fact that it's not magic, it's God. But
Yeah.
it just seems
Yeah, and
amazing.
we need to be careful that we don't take one verse like this and
Yeah.
make a total theology over it of how to worship God,
Yeah.
and the promises you have when you do worship. But that was incredible to see that, how God used music to rouse his people.
Yeah.
The double portion of the Spirit thing, where he's like, I want what you have, and I want to do that, and then he instantly does the water thing with the Jordan
Towel.
and
whatever.
and then
Cloak.
in chapter 4, which is in our reading for this week, he has an oil miracle and a raising of the dead miracle back to back, just like Elijah did. Now they were slightly different. The oil one is I can't pay for stuff, and so go get jars, and as many jars as you can get. And I heard this preached at a conference one time. It was a
little prosperity-ish.
little prosperity-ish, but it was like if
Get those
someone
jars.
tells you that they're going to provide the oil, you don't stop getting the jars. You just keep bringing the jars, because when the jars run out, it's when the oil runs out.
Yeah.
And it's like,
I actually thought that this morning when I read that.
Did you?
Like, man, I wish they had more jars. If that would have been my promise, I would have got a lot of jars.
But I am sure the Lord provided it what they needed, what it was. And then again, I think I mentioned this last week, so it's a little bit of a redo, but the Elisha healing of the son, they both stretch out, and it's both physical and again, when we get to Jesus, he doesn't have to do any weird physical stuff. He just speaks.
Yeah.
Jesus speaks, they raise up, they have to implore God to do something, and it just helps us understand Jesus is different.
Love it. And Elijah's miracles don't stop even when he dies. My favorite one, 2 Kings 13. This is well past our reading for this week, but it says, so Elisha died and they buried him. Now bands of the Moabites used to invade the land in the spring of the year, and as a man was being buried, behold, a band was seen, so they freaked out. And the man was thrown into the grave of Elisha, and as soon as the man touched the bones of Elisha, he revived and stood on his feet. Joe, what do you do with that one? I got nothing.
I mean, the same thing as when Jesus was crucified, like other people rose from the dead.
rose from the dead.
And it's like, what's happening here?
Exactly.
I mean, I guess the clear one to me would be even in death, his bones had life.
Ooh.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I mean,
Joe's the
Sorry about
natural
that.
preacher.
But
He's
how-
been doing it for forever. He can turn
How
that
different
phrase.
is it than the woman who touches the hem of Jesus's thing?
Well, because it's Jesus. That's my differentiation. This is just a prophet's bones, right? Like touching Jesus. That means something. But anyway.
Yeah.
So this is my ESV study Bible.
But it's not the bones, right? It's the Spirit of the living God that was.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's right.
Yes, of
Has
course
to
it
be.
is.
Yes, it
Or his bones were magical, guys.
We should go find them.
It says that they were not. Talking about the tomb. Israel needs to know that Elisha's powers to resurrect live on, because just as this man was thrown into the grave, so God will soon throw Israel into exile, and the Israelites need to maintain contact with the great prophets of the past through obedience to their teachings. I mean, what a way to, like, you've got to turn it into something for people to be like, oh, I can latch on to that.
So to end on a little bit of a lighter note, one of my favorite Sunday school stories was the axe head, where Elijah finds the axe head. And, as an 8-year-old kid, you have no context other than what you live in, right?
Yeah.
We have a store for everything, everything. And the Sunday school teacher would be like, the axe head flew off and they couldn't find it, and they were able to raise it. And I'm like, what's the big deal?
It's an axe head.
You just go to Lowe's and you get another axe head. Like, why?
It costs like $350.
And then you learn, like, they didn't have all the minute, like, what it took to do it. And it's a very cool story. But as a kid, you're just like, what?
This is super random.
Just go get
Like I
another one.
said, all these stories burst my Sunday school dreams.
Yes, true.
Because you're told such a small amount, and you're not given the full context.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of thinking now we need to share the whole story with kids as best as we can. So there's not this, it rhymes so much with fables, where the good guys always win and nothing. The good guy is always good all the time.
Yeah. That's probably more the point that doesn't.
And so if you look at this and you see just the brokenness of humanity and the faithfulness of God, that's a story that's just shown over and over.
Yep.
So
absolutely. Sweet. Thanks, guys. Joe, we normally have the guest pray over our church congregation. Will you do that and maybe, pray for Brian as he's preaching this weekend? Yeah.
Father, thank you that we could be together. Thank you for those who are listening and are preparing to be in a small group together or just want to go deeper with you. Thank you for just showing us a clear picture of one life to another on what the Spirit of God and the power of God and the presence of God can do in the lives of people who are open and available to him. Thank you for Brian. Pray that you'd use his story to share this message with us. And I pray for open hearts in us, that we would be willing not just to listen to it, but follow your Spirit's leading in this. And that fellowship would be a place where the truth of God is being shared through the experience of life, and where you're the hero, always Jesus, and one life is impacting another. We thank you. For it's in Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thanks for stepping in, Joe. Thank you, Brian, as always. Thank you, Fellowship family, for tuning in to this week's episode of the Deeper Podcast. And we'll catch you all next time.